Hello, students. It's now time to talk about the writing process because you're about to embark upon your first writing assignment in this class. And I'll talk about that a little later. But at this point, we need to talk about the process because there is a process for every essay or any piece of writing that you might craft. And there are several steps, and you probably are already aware of these steps. You just probably skip some of them. And the process is so important, you really need not skip any of the steps. So, the very first step is step one, brainstorming. I'm sure you're very familiar with this step. This is the step in which you generate the ideas for your paper. So you're thinking about what you're going to write, but you're actually thinking about it and putting it on paper. So you're thinking on paper. What comes up comes out at this step of the writing process. This is the unorganized step in which you get to do a lot of things, maybe one of which would be free write. So this is where you gather all of your ideas. This step, step two, is where you're going to organize those ideas. This step is called outlining. This is the most important step. However, this is the step that students often skip. Because it's very time consuming, students neglect to outline their essay. But this really saves a lot of time, effort, and toil, especially when it comes time in the semester where the students will be writing a full length researched essay of any kind of breadth, where there's outside sources and a thesis that must be developed and supported with critical analysis. And so this step is very crucial to organizing any essay. So all of those thoughts and ideas that you generated in step one, you'll now organize them in step two. And the outline then becomes the shell or the blueprint for your entire essay. That's why it is so important. And oftentimes, students, after they have written the outline or drafted the outline, they realize that this is really my entire essay. That's the point, to have organized and thought about very seriously and organize those thoughts on paper in this outline form. And the outline generally is a linear format using bullet points or Roman numerals or letters, very much like this PowerPoint that you're looking at here, where each major bullet point is going to represent the main ideas, the focal point of your essay, or the paragraphs in your essay. And all of the sub bullets will represent supporting details and supporting evidence for those main points. Now, this step, step three, is where you'll actually create your draft. And this is the first draft. This is not, however, the draft that you will submit to me. And you'll see what I'm talking about in the next step. So use your outline from in this step, in step three, to actually sit down and type your essay. It's a really bad idea to handwrite an essay and then type it after you handwrite the draft. That's really double work and at times triple work because of how many times you will need to revise your essay. Step four, revision. This is the step that is also very important that students often skip. Do not take shortcuts here. This is the best way to revise your essay. If you're in a virtual classroom, I know that you're looking at lots of documents on your desktop or on your laptop or on your um, iPad or your tablet and sometimes your phone. But in this step, you actually need to print a hard copy of your essay. There's something about cognition, how the brain works with the eyes and internalizes and processes information, that you're going to come out so much better and your paper will be so much um, more cohesive and focused and better written and better drafted if you actually print your essay during the revision stage. Once you print your essay, then you need to read it out loud with a pen or a pencil handy. And I say read it out loud because years of working in writing studios and writing labs where students come for tutoring and they think that their essay is nearly perfect, but they've never read it out loud. They've only read it on their computer screen or they've read it silently. And so, what students do when they're reading silently is they read what they meant to write instead of what's actually there in black and white. And so, if you're reading it out loud, you can hear what you're saying and catch the mistakes more readily. So, as you are reading, make corrections as you go along with that pen or that pencil. Read your entire essay, making the corrections as you go, then return to your PC and make the corrections to your essay. It's that simple. However, you should repeat this process at least 2 times, but for the best written essay, 3 times. So print, read, correct, repeat. And then the final step, step 5, is your final draft. This is the draft that you will submit to your instructor. So this final draft, stage 5, is actually going to be your first draft that you submit to me. And then sometimes your final draft that you submit to me, depending on the stage that we are in the semester. Do note that no draft is ever perfect or ever finished. So, the more times you read your essay, the more mistakes you will find, or maybe not even actual mistakes, but stylistic and narrative form changes that you might want to make. So, every draft is in a state of constant revision. What you submit should never be rough, however. Note, I do not call anything a rough draft in this class. However, each time you submit an essay, you should go through all 5 steps. Shortcuts sacrifice quality and ultimately letter grades. So, very focused reading, drafting, and revising, and that's the process. And this is a process that most writers know very well. They may call the steps something different. They may have a few little idiosyncrasies that they perform when they're writing, but for the most part, all good writers, professional or not, go through all of these steps. So good luck and happy writing.